isn't that for
So
you'll be able to do
we create arrays. We talk about arrays, right? We use arrays for a group of data that has the same type, correct?
yeah.
So early have it right that we're gonna use it when we want to create a list of what? List of data that has the same type. So let's look at the questions. You're gonna have to write an application to read a list of, you see, list of 10 numbers. So that's why we want to use an array, right? List of, when you need a list, right? List of numbers. Okay. How would you write? Okay, last time I showed you how to write the graphic user interface, right? To read the data, correct? So with JavaFX, with Swing, you already learned how to do that. How, if you want to talk about that, how would you do it? So Swing you use, if I want to talk about just graphic user interface. Swing, how do you do in Swing? We recently just submit Swing, right? JFrame. You extend JFrame, correct?
It's for when you want a visual, right?
Have you guys done assignment?
What, 6 point?
Huh? It's the last assignment, right? I mean, if you don't do assignment, then you probably gonna have a hard time to answer my question. Swing, right?
Yeah.
You didn't do it yet.
My computer's broken.
Okay. But we have plenty of computers for you to use in the lab too. And let me show you, if we use JavaFX, we can make an interface. We just extend applications, right? Create text fields, create buttons when I want to sort the list, because the application wants you to read in the list of 10 numbers, right? From the user interface. And then sort the numbers and output the sorted list. Make sense? Okay. So this is how you do in JavaFX. Any questions? Create 10 text field. Create a pretty much a panel. We talk about the layout, border. It's just like the same as the Swing. Swing use, right? Border panel, flow panel. So in JavaFX we use border pane, flow pane. Those are the layout. And then you add other text field, like an array of text field, because it's the same, the list of text fields, right? And then put into the layout. So this is an array of text field, 10 of them, and put into the layout, which is the flow. This is the flow layout. And then create a label on the top, which is 0.0 right there. And create another layout for the buttons called horizontal box, which is the button is going to stay as a row horizontal, and add other button right there. Okay. And now we just create a lambda expressions where you click sort, right? So we go to this button. Those are the other buttons, right? which we covered already last time. So this time we talk about sort. When you click sort, it's pretty much just take all the input and sort the data. Well, for example, I created the list with different order, right? It's unsorted list, correct? Okay, 10 numbers. Hit sort, so it's going to sort a number for me. So that's what we need to do.
What do you mean by sort?
Hmm?
So what does the sort do for you?
So sort is sort from lower to high, right? Sort the list. So that's the assignment that you need to do. Now, we talk about how to sort. So this is, I create my own class. We learn how to do class, right? You create your own class. I create a method named sort, just like what we have done before, right? With find average, factorial that you have done before, right? So this one is find sort. The sort is here. So I create a method called sort where you're going to pass into array. Okay, let's see what that is. That array. That array is, remember we create the array of text fields, right? That's going to take all the numbers and put into an array. And I declare an array. This is how you declare an array, and list of double values that we read from the user input, which is, this is it where the user input the numbers, right? So this is how you declare an array, right? And then you just pass that each values from get text and parse to double and put into array. And then you pass array to sort. That makes sense? Any questions? How many of you say I'm lost? So you're not lost? Overview, we good? Okay, so let's say if I want to do it again, okay, from like this is just showing you as read into array, right? And then I put an array into the sort, and now sort is the work of the function is make sure whatever the number that I put in, I'm going to return it back as a sorted list. It's going to sort a number for me, right? So I declare variables empty, like initialize to empty sorted list. So how do you sort? This is the algorithm how to sort. Okay. So have you guys, I'm sure everybody know how to sort. You've been sorting since kindergarten? Probably, right? So you can sort with your eyes closed. Then the algorithm to sort should be easy, right? You want to try?
What I think it is?
How to sort. Just tell us. Remember we learned how to use algorithms. We have tools like pseudocode and flowchart. Can you try? Anybody wants to try?
Make the pseudocode for it, or actual just
Whatever you prefer.
From greatest to, least to greatest.
Okay, let's put it on. Let's put it on here. How would you sort?
I think we're gonna use.
We're going to draw how to sort.
Okay.
Hmm?
Oh, tell you. You gotta take input from the user, and then order the input from least to greatest.
I have the list already input. I have an order list. How you sort?
We can.
Hmm?
Yeah. I have something
Well,
on
what would you
Okay, if you want to draw, you can draw on the board. Okay. So I have the list of unsorted number.
If this one is smaller, it's gonna change. Then we're gonna do a loop. It's gonna go here.
Will B and C compare each other?
Yeah. We're gonna compare it this way.
But if this one's greater than this one,
Then it will do nothing.
it will do nothing. But what if we have two over here, and if it's not comparing them, or will it just? Yeah, I guess it's cool stuff.
If this is the
Yeah,
biggest,
yeah, I
it's
got you.
gonna go
I'm just gonna keep switching.
Yeah. If needed.
So Shay, why are you stopping watching my live?
In busy.
I see. Because normally you can answer right away. You're watching my live, right?
I think it works.
Yeah, you could do like the greater.
So the algorithms also explain in your textbook. Okay.
If it's not, it will do nothing, and there's next.
So we have the list. We put in arrays. So this is the list of number unsorted. We put in array, right? An array name A. Array has index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we put the numbers in array. Make sense? How do you create an array?
Declare it.
Alright. Today we're gonna show you scripting language. Okay. So the same, you put in brackets, right? That's how you create an array, right? In JavaScript. Because I showed you earlier with Java, when you create an array, you declare it like that, right? You can give the values to array like that too, in the brackets. So if I want to create a list, okay. So I said in JavaScript, the Java type, the data type, in Java you have to give data type, right? Like in Java you're gonna do like if I have an array of integers, int, right? A, like the image, right? And I put in brackets equals to new int, and you, or you can actually put in the curly braces, and you can give the numbers. Like, let's just make the list. It's a 10, right? Okay, 10 numbers. How many so far?
7, 8.
And then you finish with semicolon, right? That's another way to create an array too, with the giving the values. So in JavaScript you do var.
Var?
Var, like variables, stand for variable. You don't need to give any type. It will know its own type.
So variable works for like any variable.
Mm-hmm. And then you put a bracket like that. See that? All right. So
Did you get anything from the professor's restaurant? Yo, dude, I felt so bad, man.
now we have the list, right? The list, same list that we see here,
It's all your fault, man.
just different numbers, right? So that's how we create array, right?
If var allows for like all sorts of data types, does every data type you put under that variable have to be the same though? So you couldn't have like an int, and you couldn't have like
No,
strings. It have to be all
So
integers or all
in
strings.
Java, how do you print? How do you print the list of array?
No.
Huh?
The variable other.
Eight.
Actually, let's do side by sides. How do you print the list of all the arrays? Hmm? Oh, by the way, your test is next Tuesday, right? Class time, right? You guys want to take test early? You can come on Monday too, because I have another session on Monday. If you want, that's fine too. Okay.
What time?
Yeah, from 2 to like 6:30, because I have two
Here?
sessions. Yeah, if you want to take early and
Okay.
don't have to come again,
Uh,
take break early. I mean, your options, okay?
Ooh.
Because I'm gonna be in this classroom too. Just let you know.
Is there gonna be a review or a study time?
That's what I'm going to review now. So you have 1 hour and 50 minutes, and there are
15? Or 50?
50,
Okay.
and there are 34 plus 29, there are two sections.
What's that? 63.
What is SRO?
63 questions. This one will ask us on your student learning outcomes. Okay, standardized for all the sections.
Wait.
Yeah, it's the same test. It's the same questions. That's a
Oh.
question you have to answer, but this section will be reported to the state.
Oh, the SLO part?
Yeah.
But
Like
the first
when-
part's for you?
Mhm.
Okay.
But you have combined together 100 points.
Oh, okay. So,
So
our final
Yeah.
grade's gonna be with both of them combined.
you have to do the best for both. Okay. All right. Now, it's a good idea to understand everything from the beginning. The conversions, right? Binary conversion, hexadecimal, and so on, right? We talk about that. Data types. And also some of the command here. So let's review the command. We talk about simple command, which under cheat sheet you can see.
Professor?
You should know all the file commands here. Okay.
Is there a difference in get bash between Vim and VI?
Yes.
What's the difference?
It's just you ask question the difference between Notepad and Microsoft Windows operating system. Or no, you talk about version control, where bash command line. You talk about the difference between Notepad and DOS. CMD. That's the question. Like Vim and VI, those are notepads comparing. This is like command, right? Line interface. Now got it. Okay. Now let's talk about, because I'm gonna write a code to do the, I'm gonna use
Sort.
VI to do that, right? So we use a terminal. So let's review some of the command. So cd, first ls, right? Ls stand for you list out, right? You should know this command, right? If I want to display the list of files and directories, right? Use ls, right? Now if I want to do ls-al, it's going to give the details. Like for example, if you pick the file or folder like Java, so it's going to list out the same but giving you the date that it's created, right? Or modified, last date, and D stand for directory, right? Like dash is stand for file, right? If the file is dash. So what are these numbers? So that, if you remember, we were talking about binary, octa, hexa, decimal. So how many values you can represent for binary?
No, 0 to like 1.
Oh,
Two
one and
values.
zero.
0 and 1.
So what's the answer?
2.
2.
Okay, 2, right? 0 and 1. So this number are the set, okay, there are 3 bits, okay? 3 and 3, and you see 3 here, and another 3, set of 3, right? Okay, like R stand for read, W stand for write, and X stand for execute. So the first group of 3 bits is for the, this is a file and folder, right? It's the permissions on the file and folders. In Unix, they give the permissions to the users that created. So first group is user can read, like the owner, they call the owner of the file, right? Owner can read, can write, and can execute, right? Read the file, write the file, and run the file, right? Read them mean you can always go back and change and update, right? I mean write, right? Read them mean you can see only, right? You cannot change, right? And execute them mean you can run it, right? And Unix has 3 levels of permissions. So we have the user permission. Another set is the group. I can create a group and add the members to a group, and this group can do the same in that locations for the file and folders, right? Well, I can have a group of students in this class to access to the file and can modify and maybe just read but cannot write and execute, right? So that's pretty much read. You see, you cannot write and you can execute. See that? But you cannot change. And this is to the world. Just like when you upload your work to the GitLab, right? It's public. People can read. Pretty much people cannot execute, but people can just read, which you can do R dash dash, right? If you want to have only read, right? To the world, to the others. Make sense? So there are 3 groups, right? Now, it's related back to 3 bits. 1 bit you have 2 values, right? So 3 bits is how many values?
6. Up to 6.
Really?
One.
Or wrong?
Wrong.
8. And each one.
Yeah, 8. So you're so confident with this. It's 8. 2 to the power of bits, number of bits. 2 to the 3 is 8. So when you create a file and folder, you can always change permission as you want. with a Unix command called chmod change, right? And the octal, and followed by the file name, right? See that? So you may see the octal. If I say read is in the section of 100, right? If I want to read only, it's gonna look like this, right? So 100, right? So what's 100 is equals to 4 in decimal. So that's why this is, you can say 4. So 4 for the first group, which is the owner, or right? Like if I want to say the world, it's going to be read only, and then students going to be able to read and write, right? I mean execute, right? Because it's set, right? This is a group, right? So what should be that number? It's going to look like what? 101, right? What's 101? 5, right? So you pretty much just say 4 plus 1, right? You can read and you can execute, right? And for the owner, you can do what? Read, write, and execute, right? So that's gonna be what? 111, right? Which is 7. Make sense? So if I change the directory to Java, I change the directory ls again to see the list, right? Change directly, cd change directory, right? Let's do ls al. So I have the folder, right? So that's permission, chapter 7.1. cd to chapter 7.1. Okay, I'm in there now, right? So I can ls again, ls al, right? So that's pretty much the list, right? If I want to change permission, I just say chmod. And if I want to change to this permission, so I just say 754, right? And followed by the file name that I want to change permission for. Like that. That's one thing that it should change to permission. So if you're on the Unix, okay, doesn't work on git bash. Yeah, it could be something that relevant to the Windows system here. Okay. So if you use on the Unix, it's going to update and give the permission that's different. Okay.
Is that why in Git bash sometimes, like, I know I've experienced it, is when you write a code and you like try to go look back at it, and like you pull it up the same way you would always, like you go to the directory in the file and you type in a vim and pull back up. Why does it sometimes say like error 3265 and it just doesn't give you access to it anymore? Because I know like I've experienced that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, because this is not fully. Because I just use this as a tool to teach some of the Unix command. It's not fully Unix, right? Operating system, right? Because it's still run on the Windows, right? But now you understand what's chmod. So, and we will talk about ls-al, that's the whole thing. So you have, you know this directly, you know how to read this, you understand this is the users, right? And the size of the file they created, right? Make sense? Yeah, so again, you just use ls.al, right? It's going to give you that, right? The details. You can always see ls is a simple command to list out, and you can always follow by the arguments. Right, those are the arguments. So we were using -a. Include directory entries whose name begin with a dot. L, list files in a long format. So that's why we use 2 parameters. Okay, so this is just showing the all the parameters that you can provide from the command line. Which, like, if I go back, I technically, instead of when I do A is including this, right? That would say it, right? So if I do just ls-l. By the way, I'm not in the parent, so let's go back to the parent. You can do the pwd, right? It's going to show you the current directory. So when you do cd dot like slash, cd, I think the other slash, it's take you back to root. See that? When you do cd with, is that tilt symbol? Is that tilt, right? It's gonna take you to the user folder. Like in Unix, it's not like C colon, right? It's like user base. So when you do cd with the tilt, it's take to the user location, like my documents. When you do cd with a /, it's take you to the root. Okay, root is pretty much the super, or the root, like the tree at the root, at the top, like the super user. Now, these are some of the commands that we start to learn, right? So ls again -l, it will not include the // folder anymore, according to parameter I show you, right? -a, lowercase a, including the directory that has a dot. Right. Okay, so now you understand. So I'm going to make a new directory. How do I do that? What's the command to do that? You can see it on the test. Yeah. mkdir, right? It's going to be on the test. Everything will be talked about here.
The change directory is cd.
Right. Even this cd slash, this thing you should know what it is. It's going to be on the test. pwd is going to be on the test. Everything is going to be on the test. Okay. What are the commands if I review now? So I want to make directory. Let's me cd to Java and make another directory. CSC 200. So as I see CSC 200 directory now, right? How would you? Okay, if I want to move the file change.java into this folder, how to do that? mv, right? Just move, right? Change.java to CSC 200 folder, right? To CSC 200 folder, right? So ls you see no longer have change.java. If you cd to CSC 200, you should see that that's how you move, right? Now how about if I want to rename change.java? If I want to copy the file change.java before I rename, cp copy, right? Stand for copy change.java to copy change.java. So you just copy, right? You create a duplicate with different name, right? Now if I want to rename, you just do mv again. Like move, you can move file to another file, which that means you change the name, the same as rename. If I want to change the name, copy change to change copy. Right. So that's how you rename, right? We learn how to copy. Now if I want to delete, you just do rm, stand for remove change copy.java. So the file has been removed, right? How about if I want to delete the whole directory? Let me copy change.java back to Java. You see, I used to represent my documents, which is under my username, and then slash to the location I want to copy it to. Right. So I list out. It's just copy out. I still have the file in there. So I still see change.java is out there and also inside that folder, right? Just now if I want to delete the whole folder, how do I do that? rm remove, but you want to do, if you follow by the folder name, it's not gonna work. Why? Right, because rm, this is for the file, right? So you want to do -r. So it's like recursively, or like recursively remove all the contents in the folders too. Or you can look at another way out, like when you want to remove directory, or right? Can stand for that directory. Now it's gone with the contents in there too. Okay. So these are the things that you must know because it's gonna be on your test. We've been using the Unix. Some of the commands I may not get a chance to cover, but we just did just now. So please, the best way to understand this is just try to do it by creating the folders, create a file, copy them, move them, change the name, and yeah, all these commands, test them all. PWD, we talk about that. Print working directory, right? We talk about copy. Now, when you copy the directory, you just need to do -R. Same, right? -R is for the directory, right? From the source to destination, just like the way that I did with the file. We talk about MV. That's pretty much it that you need to know. Okay. -F is forced to remove in case that you cannot delete it. -RF, the same thing for directory. Now, we're going to talk about VI now, right? We're going to create a file, right, in VI to do array, right? So we can do VI or Vim, right? Vim is pretty much just the nicer version of VI, more friendly. In Git Bash, you're not going to see the different. So let's name array.java. Oh, let's say array demo. So now in Java, you create a class array. Class must be the same name as the file name, right? And then, of course, you need the methods, right? In Java, public statics void main string args. To create an array, we just show you that's how you do it, right? If you want to do an array of integers, right? Sure if I can really paste. I think we can do P. There you go. Use P, right, in VI, stand for paste after you copy. So we just declare an array. This one I just show you. This is in JavaScript, right? Now JavaScript is a scripting language. What does it mean? It's the programming language for the web, like HTML or the web. Like when you surf online, if you wanted to be able to do some sorting or some manipulations besides just showing the contents, then you need JavaScript to help. So this is the app, the web. This is source code, like simple HTML that you need, surrounding with HTML, open HTML, close HTML. HTML have the body sections where you start to put the contents. Like H2 stand for like you do the heading, bullet, stand for heading, size 2. See? And then you create a button. Right. This is the way to create button. There's a button type equals to button, and on click what you want to do. Like this one, when you click, it's get the date and time. Date to display inside the P is the paragraph. The rest sections with the ID equals demo. That's why I show it there. So this is the simple JavaScript that you see. So meaning that you actually want to surround JavaScript with what? HTML. And then normally you're just going to put a script tag to tell this is a JavaScript inside. That's pretty much what you want to do. Okay, so let's start a little bit. So meaning that you, like in Java, you do public class, right? So JavaScript is HTML, so you can have body, and then we just say this is a script. We put a script, JavaScript right here. Now basic HTML is just open. When you open, you close with the slash. Just like you open curly brace, you close the curly brace. You open the body, close the body of the Java code. So you surrounding with HTML to tell this is an HTML. And then if I indent it, it's gonna be easier to read. Script. This is a JavaScript part, and the reason we want to say script because it's going to embed it in HTML. Some of them are HTML code, some of them are JavaScript code. Now you start to see a little bit different here, right? So for this one, since it's HTML, you guys save it as what? The java.java HTML, save it as .html, right? So we going to talk about same thing when you do switch to all files, right? Just like when you do in CMD, right? So now the name doesn't have to be matching. It could be normally if you talk about home page, you just name index, the first page in HTML. So I name it index. Okay. Now we have an array created on both sides. So what do we do next? How do you display the contents of the array? So if it's one item, you do what? System.out.print A to access your values index 0. So what should I see as the output in this at this point?
All the numbers in there.
Index 0 refer to index, which means the first one only. This is a group of number. You're going to have an access to it by what? By the bracket and give the location of it, which is at index 0. Like index 0 is number 5, the first one is index 0. That makes sense? So if I want to display number 0, what should I do? What is number 0 at index? 0, number 0 at index 4, right? Yeah. So how would I do?
So just do the square brackets.
Right. So I need to do square bracket. This is index 4 and change it to, actually it's not index 4, right? 0, 1, 2, 3 is at index 3, not 4, right? 4 is going to be 2, right? All right, so let's run this program. So in Java, what do you use? Java C to compile, right? Followed by the file name. It's going to create a dot class for you, right? You can see we can have dot class right there, right? Then you run dot class by calling Java. So this whole thing is on your test, okay? The Java C, Java, you still have to remember that. That's why I do review now, right? Are they going to be review? Yes, we are doing it now, right? All right, so we get a content 0 at index 3 and 5 at index 0, which is correct, right? How would you do that in JavaScript? how will you display?
All of them?
In JavaScript, we have system.out in Java, right? JavaScript, we say console.log. Right. And then A at index 0, right? Just like system.out, right? You can do the same, concatenating index 0. So now you see that it's called Java, but it's not Java, right? It's very similar syntax if you see, right? But it's just different. What's the point of showing JavaScript?
No, like why would they make two separate things that are almost exactly the same? Like, because they do all the same stuff, right? And like have the same.
Just like what's the point of we have Chinese, Arabic, English, and even English North and Southern is still different. If you're in California and you're in Eastern Coast, it's still different. In British, they talk about, you know, loo. I want to go to loo. You know, right?
Yeah.
But in American restroom, right? What's the point of that? Same thing, right? Because different people, just like what's the point of having Apple and Mac, and Apple and PC, and they all make, you know, Apple, you close the window on the top left, you minimize, maximize the top left. But Windows you do on top right. What's the point of that?
So can we use Java to like for a website?
Yes, you can use Java for website too. We talked about that, right? Did we talk about that?
No.
I didn't show you yet.
No.
Spring.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we talked about Spring Framework too, but it doesn't have to be in the web too. But you need to know HTML in order to understand that part too. But the problem with Java on the website is Java is very good for the server. Your code has to locate on the server side. JavaScript, your code locate on the client side. Like, meaning what? Okay, you can see this code running. You can right click and view page source. You see source code. Alright, so 0 and this is index 3, right? So you, if you want to go for computer science, you should not know just one language. You have to know more. But you learn just algorithms and the concept because it's work all the same. See that, right? So let's run that. Now you may not see anything because this is an empty. So at least maybe I should put a title, say and again we display it on the console, right? I'm going to just type some word. And this is an HTML, like you can do like H stand for heading, like surrounding it, maybe make it bold and big, right? Heading tag. Alright, so let's run this. Pretty much just how you run it. Open in browser. What's a browser? Anything, i.e. Chrome, Firefox, and just open the file. Okay, I'm just going to open. Let's pick your. I'm going to use Chrome. Array demo. There you go. Now, how do you see the log? This is just like the user interface part. It's not the console part, right? So you need to go to more tools, developer tools. Okay, and there's console right there. You see that? That's the output. See that? So this is like your console, like that we see here. And it returns exactly what we expected, right? At index 0, value is 5, index 3, value is 0, right? That makes sense? So that's how you pretty much debug your code in Java or see the output on the console, just like here, right? Console. I have to put space, right? Now, so if I want to display all the contents in the array, how do I do that? You can keep doing that 10 times, right? System.out, index 0, index 3, and so on, index 2, index 4, right? Up to index 9, right?
Yeah, but can you also just go like system.out.println and then just, instead of like specifying which part of the array, just hit the whole array and then leave those empty.
Okay. He said, can I do just A like that, right? Like that, right? Contents. Do you think we can do that? Let's refresh. Now, when you change the code, you just, in JavaScript, you just refresh. It displays the contents. Right? You just say A, right? Okay, you think Java can do that? System.out.println, right? So array A contents. So you said just A like that, right? Alright, carefully watch this. It's not going to display any content, but it's display the reference. What does it mean? What's reference? So this concept is very important now when you're dealing with array and class and object. So that's make it different between JavaScript and Java too. So when you declare an X in X, you just declare a box. You allocate a memory in RAM. And then you name it as X. But this memory location has the address in hexadecimal. Okay, it could be hexadecimal is 0x, right? 0x. And then whatever location that valid at that point, and this is hexadecimal number, so A, F, those are good, right? But hexadecimal number, remember? And depends on how many bits of your machine. This is every 4 bit, 8, 16, right? So 16-bit machine, only that, right? Like when you declare and you just name it X, so that's why instead of you call that hexadecimal number, you just represent that as the X. Integer is how many bits? 32 bits. So if this is 16, you probably need 2 slots of this to allocate the value for X. Make sense? If this is a 16-bit architecture, but your architecture is now 64 bits, 1 slot is 64. That's what it means. But when you're dealing with arrays, it's different. Like allocate an integer size of array, where I say 10, it's actually giving you like 2 of them is for 1, right? For integer, right? You probably need 20 of this. Make sense? 20 of these slots because each slot is 16 bits, right? Make sense?
It was changed on non-paper. Yeah.
And then I give a name to what? Give I name this array as, like I said, the address is gonna be the next available address in hexadecimal. Like if it's after this is 90, this is 91. If it's after this, it's gonna be OXA F92. And it's going to have to add in hexadecimal term 99, 90A, 90B, 90C, 90D, 90E, 90F, right? And FOO, actually not FO100, right? And then B100, right? After that, make sense?
What is O, X, and A?
Oh, this is the symbol to represent hexadecimal. Otherwise, we don't know. Are you talking about decimal? Or decimal, we don't have any symbol. It's just prefix to represent.
So
Like when you say OX first, that means hexadecimal number.
it's just decimal.
Okay, X. Okay.
And what's A and F? Is it
This is the actual number. Hexadecimal has A, remember? Represent 10, right? These are the actual digits. Each digit is 4 bits, right? Review that too, right, for the test. Binary hexa, right? Decimal conversions.
Did you just memorize all of that stuff? Perhaps you just like know hexadecimal, all that conversions off the top of your head.
Yeah.
it to him and everything?
Damn.
And it's been working.
Alright, so now
I added the
the array, when I declare an array, I may give an array name what? What's the array name again that I just gave?
I'm trying to figure that out. Is what the login button?
A. So this is a whole array name A. That just give the name to represent. But this A is not like X like that. It's I'm going to point to the location of memory that being allocated for me. This guy is gonna say that is a location. This is reference. Make sense? Again. So I said A equals to an integer like 10 of them. So I said A. This is array name A. But I'm going to reference to this location, right? Location that has allocated memory for me. That is a location. So that's why it displays that number out. The reference to address location, which is this is a hexadecimal number, right? This is just the reference symbols here, right? This is 32 bits, right? Each digit is 4 bits. That makes sense? So it's just point to that. But it didn't give you all content. But if you look at JavaScript, it didn't refer to the address. It seemed like, or behind it, actually, it's just print out everything for you. Or it's just give the values to each of their contents and then like as their variables and then display them out. Okay. Now, to display this, you need what? You need to give the bracket again, right? Give the bracket and identifiers to the index. In this case, we put I because we don't want to type system.out 10 times. We use the loop to help. You can do int I equal to 0, right? And then I less than a dot length, pretty much as the size of array, or 10, right? I plus plus. So by doing this, it's going to display the contents for you. Compile it and run it. So we get the contents of array. All right. So that different in here, you can see that, right? All right, so your assignment is you have to sort this number after you read it in. I show you the GUI part already, how to get the contents and store into. You pretty much need to review all your previous class exercises, right? Store into array, right? Now the hard part is not those. The hard part is this, the algorithm how to sort this, which some of your friends try to write on the board, right, Ali?
They try.
Sorting. How will you sort? So if you look at this, it's going to tell you how to sort. Page 526 textbook is on your blackboard. We call selection sort. There are many ways to sort. Selection sort means you look through a list, you select the lowest value in the list, which is 3, right? Once you found it, you just swap with the first location. Before you look at the list, let me ask first. The list, this is a list, right, that I just create here, right? Can you tell me what's the smallest of the list? What are the smallest values?
0.
How do you know? How do you know it's 0? You sure it's 0? Because you happen to see it before the list. You're so quick. But the computer will never know. It has to look at one by one. So that's why now I say what's the smallest in the list. You're going to say 5. Because your list have only one number. Computer can do the same. What is smallest in the list now? 5. What is smallest in the list? 5. What's smallest in the list? Ah. You can do the same thing, right? You do compare, right? And you say 0. If I want to sort, how would you do? You move 0 to 5 and move 5 to 0. That makes sense? That's what it does here. That's what it does on here. See that? It does just like what you did, but you just very good at that. You never recognize you did very fast, right? Make sense? Yeah. All right. Just pause on that idea first. How would you find the smallest in the list? That's the idea, right? And after you found, the second step is you move it to beginning, or yeah, pretty much now. Why it's beginning? Because we thought the beginning is the smallest at first, because we have just 5, right? So that's just 2 algorithms that you need to handle first. How do you find the smallest? Loop through it and compare one by one. All right. Loop in Java script is exactly the same. Expressions. Data type, object, functions, string, math, random, dates, arrays, booleans, comparison, conditions, loops right there. Exactly the same syntax right there. Right? We got a loop to it. Now, I want to explain the logic. You got a loop through the list for int I equal to 0. That's referred to its index, right? I less than okay, let's see if JavaScript had that. A.length I plus plus. Just test in JavaScript first. Is it same like in Java? Unexpected identifier. There's an error. Something wrong. So it's not like Java. Probably they don't know what A.length is. Save this. Whenever you change, make save and refresh to run. Still don't know what it is. Uncache. So it's syntax. You can start to see that it's just a little bit different, right? So syntax, you have to declare your I. That's why. And you don't use int. Remember, in JavaScript, use var, right? Let's see if you can declare inside like that. There you go. Let's see the output print out, which is good. Now let's see if they do A.length in this case. That's how you pretty much just do debugging and writing in JavaScript right there, right? Okay, it's good. .length works because of the var. They don't use int. Now we want to compare, right? So it's gonna be the same thing in Java, right? So first you're gonna say the smallest in the list is gonna be what? What's the smallest in the list? A at index 0, right? The first one, right? Remember, we just want to loop and find the smallest, right? So we loop to each of them if you say if the smallest happen to be greater than AI, like the one that we loop to. In this case, we don't have to start from 0. We can just start from 1. We compare the next values, right? Like 5 compared to 7. If it's happen to be greater, what do? We gotta say the smallest now has been changed, right? Smallest value is going to be equals to what? The value of AI. at the index is found.
Yeah.
And then you pretty much just going to display what do you want to display? The smallest. So the smallest. In array A is right. You want to put a quote, you have to do the escape sequence. Alright, so let's see if this works. Now you guys understand the logic to get the smallest, right? If we keep comparing, if it's greater than the smallest, that means we found the new smallest, right? So we assign the new smallest equals to the new values. Any question on this one? Let's see if it works. Yes, it's found 0. So it works, right? Now the next step is what? Once you found the smallest, you need to switch it, right? Swap. How do you switch?
What was the question?
We found the smallest, we want to switch. Like we found 3 smallest, we switch to beginning. So loop, outside the loop we found smallest. We could create a function to swap. We call swap function. Now function is like method, right? In Java you could create separate method. In JavaScript we call function. So let's look at how you create functions here. You just need to name function in front. Just put function in front. See that, and name the rest the same, pass in parameters. You don't have to even give the values like data type, I mean. So I'm going to name this function. Let's say, where should I put my function? Let's see if I want to say script again. In the head, this is the head section. Head is, this is HTML, right? Header is something that will not show on the page. You could put like a function, just like you import, right? From the library in Java, you could put in there too. And you want to create function, you just call function. Alright, so now why do we need function? Again, this is being shown on the code for Java. Like if I want to create function, let's look at Java part. So I just call method's name, right? Swap inside the class. Just create another method like that. Okay. But in JavaScript, you want to provide what? A parameters. It's going to swap the values in array. You pass in the index, same thing. Let's use this swap, pass in the original small index, which is 0. And then pass in the new small index. In this case, it's found at 3. And pass array in. So put the value, the new one, which is 3 in the temp. And replace that values in the small index. and then put the temp into original. That's how you swap.
I don't have any social media.
So pretty much done with swap. Last thing is what? You have to walk through the list. The list is like we done with the first one, it's sorted. You just look at a smaller version of that. We start from the white one, no blue, right? Which is small, it's gonna be 6 again. Find the smallest from this list and do the swap. Keep doing that until the end it's gonna be sorted. So you pretty much just need another loop cover outside to walk through the remainder of the list. And the code is pretty much in here that you can just study more. And if you watch my previous streaming, I show you how to do that too. I think that's gonna be it for today.
Alright, thanks, Professor. Well